Guys. Hey guys, while I'm doing this, why don't you talk about the Lou? Talk about your top thing that you were.
Oh, so Nick decided he wanted to change the plastic window in the convertible top on his Mercedes SL. The shops around, a lot of them didn't even want to do it, and the ones that he found to do it quoted him like $1,200 to do it. So he went and bought a kit of the vinyl, clear vinyl, and it came with the thread and it all threaded all punched through. And they told him it'd be a 6-hour job to do it.
Wow.
So cut out the old top and he took the thread out. And then we started with the awl. So we have to go through 2 layers of top material, and in between is the vinyl for the window. So we used the old window as a pattern, and we cut out the vinyl and we pinned it in place. And then we started going through with the awl, and it put so much friction on the threads that a lot of time the thread itself frayed and broke. So we had to keep restringing it. We worked on it all day yesterday, and we got probably about maybe 12 inches of stitching in the window, the main window.
Yeah.
So we still have to finish the main window, and then we have to do the 2 side windows. And I actually, we actually found another shop who will do it for a lot less. And I'm begging Nick, I'll pay for it. Let's send it. Let's get the other shop to do it. Because I'll spend another day there. We're running out of Band-Aids from sticking ourselves with needles. And,
No doubt.
So I recommend that nobody try that at home. Leave the convertible top windows to professionals. And see what else. Oh, I'm going to talk a little bit while we're waiting.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about the Show and Go Garage. It's coming back on the air on May 5th. That's Benny Notaro and John Quinn out of my hometown of Vineland, WVLT 92.1 FM. Tuesday nights, 8 to 9. Great show. In the future episodes of Guys with Rides virtual car show, my local club, High Octane South Jersey, is going to send in clips of each member is going to do some clips of their cars because we can't get together. And we'll be featuring hopefully a full hour of clips from High Octane South Jersey, Chris and Jimmy and Steve, Fred, all those guys we know out there. Dan, if we can get him to do it with his thing. Sorry, Nick. Anyway, Nick's got a thing, and I got to think about his thing. So, so then talking about Vineland, my Corvette, which you're going to see, is also from Vineland. It belonged to Frank Martini, who had Martini Shoe Store in Vineland and Landis Avenue, where I actually got shoes as a kid when I grew up in town. So there's a degree of separation kind of thing. And my engine on my car was built by a mechanic in Vineland named Kenny Testa. And Kenny's still there on Mill Road and Landis Avenue, if anybody wants to know. And he built the engine. And Kenny was on a show called Pinks that used to be on MTV.
Oh, yeah, I remember that show.
Remember the show? Well, Kenny won 2 cars. Won twice. So I figured he was good enough to build engines, right? So he built the engine on my car. And thank you, Kenny. It was a 350 block he got, 4-bolt main. He boarded 30 over, a line honed it, and everything was blueprinted, balanced, the best of everything. Cam, MSD ignition, headers going into the side pipes. Let me think what else he did to it. Roller rockers. It's giddy up, gets up and goes. And guys at Corvette paramedics, because the side pipes are original on it, it's so loud. that had a little problem with some neighbors, going to car shows, leaving at 7 in the morning. So the guys at Corvette Paramedics put a second undercarriage exhaust system in, and I have actually an electric switch on it, so I can switch to the side pipes or just go to the exhaust under the car and be able to sneak out in the morning without upsetting.
I like that.
Yeah, so they did a beautiful job over there at the shop. He's a former engineer for Honeywell, so he's got the talents. So what else can we tell you?
Okay.
I tell you, I don't know if you saw any other shows, Adam, previous shows. Any? Did you see any of the guys who ride shows from before?
Not the live ones. No, I haven't.
So they were done at the Garage Mahal, my garage, and I've been getting a lot of static because I never mentioned my brother, my best friend, the guy who built the Garage Mahal, and he said never mentioned me. So we've done. This is our third show, Rudy.
Yes.
So I want to keep on that tradition and not mention his name. So it gives him something to cheer him up, So maybe in a future show,
Keep him watching.
Yeah, keep him watching. Let's see what else we can talk about. We can talk about some of the other cars that you got friends, Adam, that have cars that we're gonna get to see.
Maybe. You mentioned Nick. I don't know if it's the same Nick that I know, big Corvair guy.
No, Nick's a big German guy, Mercedes and Porsches.
Okay. Well, before we get started on the 69, I could tell you a story about the 69. So I bought that car from older couple up in New York, and he had a store, upstate New York. So he had a store that was he sold like tractors and farm equipment and all that kind of stuff, serviced it and stuff. The original owner of the car was a farmer. He bought it when he was 23 years old, and he drove it, put 19,000 miles on it the first couple of years he had it, and then he was getting ready to sell it. The story that he told me was, I had that car, and I drive into town, and everybody turn around and look at me, and then I sold it to Bob, and then I bought me a pickup truck, and then I drove into town one day, and next thing you know, nobody was looking at me, so I guess it was the car. That was the story the first owner told me, and then when I called him, I don't know, he's got to be in his late 70s, I guess, and when I called, the wife answered the phone, and she said, he's out in the field chasing cows. He'll call you later. About 9 o'clock that night, he called me. And then he sold it to the second owner, and the second owner told me, yeah, I knew Red. He came in the store. He told me he was going to sell the car, and my daughter was starting to drive at that time. And so I figured I'd buy the car for her, give it to her for her first car. So I went over his house to go pick it up, and I drove it home, and I bought her a Duster instead. He kept a Corvette. So, and then they put about 5,000 miles on it until the mid 80s, and then they just kept it in the garage until they decided to get rid of it about 2006 or 7 is when I bought it. Pretty original car, 25,000 or 24,000 original miles, and back in the either late 70s or early 80s, they said the paint was fading and stuff, and they had it painted, but the problem was from the middle of the door down, they put like what you would call like a bed liner or a rock guard on there. Now it was all bumpy and stuff, and some of the paint was starting to peel, and they had a lot of overspray in the engine compartment and actually on the door panels from the inside. So I was just going to do the driver thing and kind of get it going, but you touch one thing under a 40 some odd year old car, this breaks or that comes apart, or they had all steel gas lines and steel brake lines at the time. So everything was original on the car. So I touched one little brake line or something, I try to work on the brakes, so, the line broke, and then I'd have to replace that. And the next thing you know, I said, you know what? It's probably just, it deserves a body off, so I'll do it. So the quick story on the 66 that we're going to show is, I was looking for another car to do. After I got done this one, I said I'll never do another body off restoration again, and I went ahead and sold the little body dolly that I had, and started getting rid of some stuff. And I don't know, not more than a month later, I had a desire to go do another car. So it looks like I froze, Rudy. I don't know if you can still hear me. Okay. So I started looking around for a car, and actually I found this one. It was a decent price, and I went ahead and figured it'd be a good car because it would be for my wife. And so the car was the frame, the motor, everything was done on the car about 18 years ago or 20 years ago now. And they started to do the body work. They did the body work. They put the car back on the frame, and all the parts that they took off the car were stored in another barn, which caught fire. The body and the chassis and everything were in a different building, which was fine. Didn't tell me that when I went to go look at the car, but obviously I found that out. So there were a lot of parts from the interior and stuff lost. A lot of stuff had a lot of smoke damage and stuff. So I did save a lot of parts and clean up a lot of parts. The frame and everything, although it was restored, it wasn't up to my standards. And of course, it was been sitting for 18 or so years. So I just would rather take it all apart, do it my way, even though they said that the trailing arms were rebuilt and the rear was rebuilt. I decided I'm just going to go through the entire thing and do it right one time. So that's where I'm at with that thing. There we are. Walking into my garage. There's my 69 NCRS specs the best I could. I did take a few liberties. I mean, the paint's much better than a lacquer paint job, base clear coat job. I wanted to color sand the car. I wanted the color and the shine to be just right. It's a Monza red car. It might look like orange in the picture. A lot of people have commented and said nice orange car, but it's not. Interior is almost completely original seats and everything. Like I said before, I replaced the door panels only because I had overspray on them, but they did not have any cracks. And if you know C3 Corvettes, those door panels always crack where the armrest is.
Wow.
But those, I did replace those just because of the level of it that I did. But everything else in the interior is original except the carpet. And there's the 25,000 miles. And I know a lot of people say, yeah, 25. I've got the documentation. I've talked to both owners, so I know. I'm confident that it's 25,000. And after my builder went through the engine, he said, yeah, there's no doubt there's 25,000 miles on that engine. So I just showed the back a little bit. I have the original date-coded T-top bags back there, along with that little strap that holds them in.
Very cool. Now,
so,
I keep meaning to ask you this, Adam. Have you taken it for NCRS judging or Bloomington Gold or anything like that?
No, I didn't. And the reason why is because, I know I've taken a few liberties with it. I don't know how well it would do, but I've taken a few liberties with it. The paint's better than it should be and stuff. It's just a 350 L46 motor. Just about everything is original to the car. I really didn't replace a whole lot. I rebuilt a lot. One of my tougher decisions was the carburetor and the alternator. Both are original parts from the factory. Both are date coded absolutely correctly for the car, but they're not the right number. Okay. And I talked to the original owner, I talked to the second owner, and they told me they never replaced those parts of the car. And I had to make a decision whether I was going to use those parts or try to find the right ones. I decided to use what was on the car because of what the previous owners told me, and the fact that they were factory original parts and date coded correctly for the car. So what are the chances that you're going to replace a carburetor or the the alternator at some point during its life, it just happened to find one to date code it correctly. So that's what I went with. And I know there's anomalies from the factory, and I don't necessarily need to prove it to anybody. I believe it. So so the original seats, padding, everything with the car. I rebuilt the wiper door actuator and the headlight actuators myself. I'm showing you a little detail there that the filter on the vacuum, you can see I wrapped it with filament tape. It was those vacuum lines from the factory were wrapped with filament tape. So I did that, and I did it up here in the front too. So wherever I could, I wrapped the just to bring it to that level of detail, which I tried. This is my first actual body off restoration, and I figured let me see how well I could do with it. And I did pretty good. I've won Best of Show at New Hope for Corvettes, Best of Show in all, Corvette show last year. Usually get first place in my, not usually, I always get first place in my class so far. But I'm not really a car show guy. It's tough for me to sit there all day long. But I just wanted to show it and just to see how well I did with it. I mean, it's my first one that I did, so I wanted to see, test myself with it a little bit.
Great.
So it came out pretty good and pretty happy with it.
Yeah, Frank Wenhennig says sweet, and Mike G from Staten Island says awesome car.
Oh, thanks.
I totally agree.
And one other original part that I kept with the car, as you'll zoom in on that Playboy air freshener. That was in the car when I bought it, so I left it there.
Very nice.
So this is the frame of the '66 that I did. Like I said, it was redone about 20 years ago, but I ripped it apart and decided to redo it again. Again, I'm using the NCRS judging manual as a guide. I'm not using it as a strict Bible, but I'm using it as pretty strict. I mean, I try to use all the right bolts, the right sheens on the colors and stuff like that. But again, taking just a couple of liberties that, unless you're a real NCRS guy, you might not notice. Like on the A-arms, they're gloss, but you'll see the bolts in the washer, they should be glossy black too. But I decided, hey, I like it that color, so that's what I'm doing. So I went through the entire frame, chassis. I cleaned it up, primed it, painted. It wasn't rusty at all, but there was a little pits here and there, so I tried to clean them up. I went through and I had to set the body mounts, because when I got the car, the body was just plopped on the frame and none of the gaps were right on the door. So I spent a lot of time getting the door gaps right by the body shims. And after I got it shimmed up, then I started to do the body work. So I marked all those, like, unlike my other car where I took meticulous pictures of everything and documented everything, I couldn't trust what I was seeing with this car because somebody already had their hands on it. So I kind of had to go from scratch. I replaced the spring in the back with the correct leaf spring from Detroit Spring. They had a composite spring with adjustable struts on it. I went ahead and even got the right gas tank stencil and put the stencil on it from the factory in St. Louis. They had the part number stenciled on it, so I recreated that. And I got my chassis detail kit from Quanta. They have some great information, and actually they have a pamphlet in there that's a little bit more comprehensive than actually the NCRS judging manual. So I was using that to do the factory markings and stuff. As you can see, I've used the right size masking tape to take down the shims, and what I'm focusing in on here is this is a convertible, so it has an extra body mount under the sill of the door, and they say that they didn't mark the shims on those, where you could see the other shim markings were all made on the frame. So I didn't put those on there. Steering box, everything, all the parts were original. When they redid it, they put a different slave cylinder and power steering valve on it. But in the pile of parts I found were the original ones. So they were actually date coded. And I didn't realize that till I started cleaning them up. So I rebuilt the slave cylinder, and I sent the power steering valve out to be rebuilt. So I used the original parts again. The relay rod, that's original, but I put some new tie rod ends on it, and I went and even though they put a new idler arm on it, I put one on that, from the factory, they didn't have a Zerk fitting for grease. So I just put a correct looking one on there.
Good.
Um,
Yeah.
So
couple comments so far. Dan Del Calo, great originality. Thank you for showing. And Mike G, the Playboy air freshener, very period correct. My dad's car always had one in the 60s. I think.
Yeah, period correct. I could not take. I had to leave that in.
Yeah. Let me pause this for a second. We got another. Christopher Lobko, thanks for joining us. He said, "Can you adjust the rear ride height with the adjustable strut on the leaf springs?"
The adjustable. Well, they say you can adjust the rear ride height by getting different bolts for the leaf spring. What those two adjustments, the struts are for the caster and camber, and the shims that are in the shims that are in the trailing arms are for your toe in and toe out. But the ride height, I think, is because of the bolts. But that Detroit spring that's on there is a brand new spring, and what you don't see in that picture was the 500 pounds of weight that I have in the back to try to load that spring a little bit and try to get it somewhat, level again.
Okay.
It's a brand new spring, so I've been trying to weigh it down, and I'm moving the car and shaking it a little bit, just trying to get the thing somewhat broken in, because the last thing I need is a 60s or 70s style, Corvette that's going down the highway with the rear end about 6-8 inches too high. But
all right, cool. Appreciate all the questions. If you have them, keep them coming in, folks.
So this is the body. When I got it, they had slick sand all over it, and I was afraid of what was underneath it. So I have well over 200 hours in this car so far, in the body alone. I stripped the entire car. The car's been hit a couple of times. They grafted on a new nose. So I went through and redid a lot of the body work. And one thing they did that I'm glad that the reason why I stripped it was I found remnants of media inside the like the footwells.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, that scares me. So that's why I sanded it. So a couple of spots were thin, and I went ahead and re-glassed a lot of it. And the areas where they grafted on the new nose, I kind of ground that down, re-fiberglassed it. And the first coat of body filler I used was the vet panel adhesive, and then I used Ultra, the Rage Ultra. My hood wasn't fitting right, and what you don't see here in the picture was I actually had to split that right fender and split it and then fix it, because I thought it was the hood to start with. It wasn't the hood, it was actually the fender, so I had to fix that. Like I said, the car was hit a couple times, but it's in good shape right now. Looking to paint it.
Did you cover all the bonding strips on it? Did you hide those when you redid it?
Oh, no, all the bonding strips are there, yep.
Yeah, I was trying to see them, I guess, in the pictures.
Oh, you mean did I cover them when I on
the
body work? Yeah. I went over the bonding strips. Yep.
So they're not going to show anymore. They're not going to.
I hope not.
A lot of the cars have them
right
on purpose.
Oh, sure.
Because that's a factory thing, Even when it came new from the factory, you sometimes saw where the bonding strips were.
Right, and if the car was all original, I would I would leave it go the way it is. Now, Rudy asked me about whether I was going to judge the other car. Yeah. When I first got that car, I called Dave Burrows over at Bloomington Gold, and we talked about it. The problem with judging the car was the interior was original, the motor was original, so I would have got all points there. They repainted the car, so I would have lost all those points. Right. And then they went through and went underneath the car with a spray can of black paint. So unless I decided I was going to clean it all up and all that kind of stuff, plus as I touched parts, things broke, so I needed to fix things anyway. Yeah. So I decided, well, I'm not going to do that, and let me just see what I could do. And that's what I did. Now I love it. Now I can't wait to retire and get another car and start working on it.
I have one. You can start now. You can start on mine.
Well, I'll tell you what I need is a barn right now. I got to find another house with a barn, because you can see my garage is full. I've got the body over there at my neighbor's house, and I've got a Camaro up at a friend's barn, up in, up north a little bit. So I need a barn. I need a barn, put a car lift in, then I'll be good to go. I'm retired.
That's what we all thought. Now I got a barn with 5 car lifts in it, filled with cars. I'm out of room. So I need somebody else with a barn.
That's right. Hey, I just want to get to the one barn right now with one car lift.
There you go.
That's it. Yeah, you'll see how quick it builds up.
Yeah. Well, Adam, thank you. I'm always impressed with your attention to detail, and you really show what it takes to go through a vintage Corvette like that on both a C3 and a C2. So I'm very impressed.
The C3, I document everything. So I've got a spreadsheet with all the money I spent. The red car took me 707 hours.
Wow.
So
that's a lot. That's awesome. All right. So, and everybody's saying it on here. Thanks, Chris, for your explanation on the spring earlier. Great explanation. Thank you. Frank's saying love Adam's passion. I do too. I thought you got to see the cars in person. It's amazing. So, all right. So before we get to the next thing, it's time for a door prize. So the first one I'm going to do is, let me just put the camera on here, and it's going to be, so there we go. And I'm going to show, so you guys, if you're out there, you see the 3 guys wearing the same shirts. The guys with ride shirts, get a packet of that. We've got some stickers. I've got the guys with ride circular sticker. The limited edition, which we were going to hand out at Radwood, the iridescent one. So
I don't have that. I'm
gonna bring some along here early next week. The guys with rides magnet, which goes great on a tool chest drawer or the refrigerator.
That's what I got.
There you go. And then these are Klingsy. You can put them on the anywhere on glass. They're removable and whatnot. So I'm gonna draw for that. And Dana Ray is saying, "Hi, Dad, I love you."
Thanks, son. Actually, she helped me with the car too.
Good. Welcome, Dana. Appreciate you watching the show. All right, so the first one I picked that gets the swag bag is Donald Elliott. So Donald, thank you for logging in. And that's the first door prize. Let me just write that down so I know who gets what. All right. So, thanks for that. So let me get back to the Zoom last video. Okay, during this section, during the live broadcast, I lost about a minute of sound, so I'm just going to fill it in here. But Lou started to take everyone through the Corvette Paramedic Shop, located in Mount Holly, New Jersey. Here's the outside yard. That's actually a Ferrari Daytona look-alike kit on a C3 Corvette. And there's a couple cars that are waiting for service in the shop. And you're about to see it coming into view here is Lou's 58 Yeoman that he was having in for some minor service. So here's where his video is going to take over, his audio is going to take over, so I'll leave it there.
And you can see there's a Corvette burial ground in the back. You need a frame, they got it. You need parts, they got it. Old parts, date coded correctly, from C2s, C3s, C4s, C5s, they got them all. They got body panels, they got front ends. They get a lot of the wrecked Corvettes and they strip them for parts. And there's one coming up here that we're going to try to find out more about in the future. I got to get hold of Ed. And if you freeze it right there,
okay,
the lights are out in the back of it. So,
and that it is what I thought it was?
We don't know. I have to get hold. That'll be an answer to a future question because, right, you look at the lights thing in the back, we don't know what that is. And if you look at the rocker panels on it, it looks like it's a body kit of some kind on there. So if anybody knows, anybody wants to venture a guess, it's a good time to do it.
Yeah.
And we'll let you know if you're right.
Okay.
All right. So they also have another building. This is just one of the buildings that we're at. They have a storage building. There's other Corvettes in.
Okay, Rudy.
So as we go
Let's
around
do a
here,
little
so
voice
Ed Lee's
for
in
you.
charge of the of the shop, the repair shop. He is engineer.
All right, so I've been coming here for
Previously
over
worked for
30
Honeywell.
years.
Listen to what he got to say in his shop.
This is
There's
the, he's only about 31. I just made him look that old with
So
all my
you said
aggravation.
it was- I
Ed
don't know if we
Lee,
heard that. Did that come across or not?
Yeah, it's
the
coming
guy that
across.
runs the shop back here at Corvette Paramedics. So Corvette Paramedics has been in business for how long?
Since 1987.
1987. And you've had about how many happy customers?
Thousands and thousands and thousands.
And one more, me. So, and Bill's right here. He's working hard.
We're hardly working.
Hardly working. But Bill's other hobby is
Drag racing.
drag racing. And he won a championship somewhere. There's a trophy. Here's a picture. Let's see if I can get it right down here.
Oh, we have top. There's,
And then we're going right up here. And that's the big one, right?
yeah. And there's our two play toys on this side.
All right, let's go see those.
Yeah.
New cars.
So-
Oh,
For a
new
long
car
time.
is coming.
New cars.
So,
The 2000
guys with rides. Now, this is a ride. Right here.
2019. That's a 2019 C7 top sportsman car and a brand new dragster.
And we wish you, if they open up the track soon, a happy season, a
Waiting
successful
patiently
season.
for that to happen.
Yep. So I'm bringing a yeoman in here for just some little tune-up, little general maintenance, and getting ready for the car show season.
Hopefully it comes soon.
Yep.
So this is the inside of the shop. Every time you come here, there's an assortment of cars. There's a Auburn Boattail Speedster replica. They did a lot of work on that car. They rewired the whole car. They did the motor on that car. I think it's an LS6. I'm not sure, but the owner of that car has a lot of other cars too. It's got Corvettes and things, and he loves taking that to shows. It wins a lot of trophies, and right now. It's also getting a brand new dashboard put into it. So this is an original Auburn dash that's there now, that they got. He was able to get an original one, and they had rebuilt the gauges, and they're all electronic. The gauges now they look vintage, but they're all electronic. And we'll see in a moment what it looked like before. Because it came with a wooden dash instead of the engine turned. And there's a world of difference. I'm sure he's going to be ecstatic over this. And there's the original wood. Looks like wood. Looks like fake wood. Doesn't even look like real wood.
Those cars are just so much more amazing in person than you see on the screen. They just have such a presence to them.
Oh, that's absolutely. Here's their store. They do NCRS work too, and Bloomington Gold work. You get anything done. They have a full machine shop, so they can make anything that they can't get. And those are my favorite words there: fuel injection.
Oh yeah.
Just that's all it has to say. I'm thinking about putting that on my carbureted car just so I can have fuel injection. So this is an NCRS car here,
Beautiful car.
1953.
53.
Right? Because no, that's wrong. 53s only were white, so this is 54. Right.
Trick question. Yeah.
It was a trick question. I wanted somebody to say, no, it can't be. It can't be. They're only white. They only built 300 of them.
I'm waiting for somebody to write that. Yeah.
No. Beautifully done. It made 6-cylinder. It's got 2 carbs on it.
There's where you're wrong, Lou. Those are triples.
Oh, they're 3 carbs?
Yeah, the 2 air
Yeah,
carbs.
you're right. Yeah, 3. I didn't know that. 3 carbs and Power Glide.
Yep.
Yeah.
3 carbs and were they all 3 carbs?
Yeah, Yeah, with 2 air cleaners on it.
All right.
Let me see if I can go back a little bit.
2 air cleaners and 3 carburetors.
Yeah, they're 3 one-barrel carburetors, if I recall. There.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see it right there. 3 1 barrels. Yeah. And then they just use 2 air cleaners.
Yeah.
They should have used one oblong air cleaner or something, but they're probably off whatever, some other car. They just had them.
Yeah.
I didn't know the horsepower. I didn't look it up, but it wasn't a lot. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And these things, they did not have roll-up windows.
Right.
You know, they had, panels you put in.
The true Roadster.
Yeah, it is.
And what always amazed me, I actually years ago I had a boss that was redoing a 55 with a V8 in it, and it was just amazing to me how bad the panel fit was on those early cars.
There's me. There's my 67 in the shop. That's a Corvette Paramedics.
Very nice.
We did the interior, it had vinyl, and we replaced it with leather, white leather. They did the door panels because they cracked exactly where Adam said they cracked. This is, you're hiding this. Like, you see it? This is a 5-speed Tremec they put into it.
I'm hiding
it. I don't know. Well, you got on my screen shows your control where you go where you can go.
There we go.
That's it. Oh, it's the back.
There you go. I like it.
Oh, there it is going down. So yes, you only can get that when you get the trans. This is at Cars and Coffee, my high octane South Jersey group. And that's Joe and Marie Pagonia's behind me had a 67. Now they sold it. It was a beautiful car. And these guys, if you stop it here anywhere, you'll see air conditioning compressor they put in for me.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yep. So in order to do that, they actually had to make up special fittings to go through the firewall so it would not block the battery, because on a factory car that has air, the battery is on the left-hand side in the fender well, and battery on a non-air is on the right-hand side. So it actually was blocked. They would have to disconnect the hoses to take the battery out every time. So they made their own fittings up so they can bypass that problem. So there's a lot of chrome here. There's a chrome master cylinder. The air conditioner's chrome. Everything's chrome. So there's a lot of polishing. The valve covers are gorgeous for this car. They made up. And MSD ignition. This is I think the chip on it is 7,000 for RPM. That's where the cutout comes in.
Wow.
There it goes.
It goes. You'll hear it in another video. Then this is I'll talk about. This is my second 67 Corvette. So this one is just. It was a factory 327, 300 horse speed. I have the engine and the trans that came out of it, and
Turn up the volume, folks.
Yeah, listen to it. No, I can't hear it. I hope it's loud.
Yeah, I got it cranked up. I hope people can hear it. That's some serious cam you got.
I know. It's got different valve covers in that picture. Yeah, the Frank Martini took those for me before we made some changes to it. Now, freeze this picture here for a second.
Okay.
You can.
Let me just go back.
So this is my.
Hang on. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to get it just right.
You gotta go more than that for.
Yeah, I'm just gonna let it run.
So yeah, Frank took these before I got the car, and I had to change the valve covers when I was doing. So I got different valve covers. When I actually added power brakes to it, and the booster was hitting those valve covers, so I had to get the angle ones up. Oh, they're on there now. So the master cylinder, the booster would clear they're too big. All right, pause.
Yep.
All right, so this is my first 67 Corvette. And this was a real nice car when I got it, but I wasn't too knowledgeable about Corvettes, and I remember taking it to my first car show, which was happened to be in Philadelphia at Bryner Chevrolet. That Corvette Club had a show.
Oh, yeah.
And when they started judging the car, they, so this is nice, and then all of a sudden they were looking under the hood, and they said, we're disqualifying you. And I said, well, what did I do? Well, they said this is a Power Glide car, and you got a 4-speed in it. So when I bought it, I never knew that. I never knew originally it had a Power Glide in it. And so I went back and tracked the owner, and I actually found the original Power Glide and the torque converter that was in the garage that I wound up taking with the car.
Wow.
But when I bought it, it had a trailer hitch in the back. He was using it to tow a boat. And the back lid actually had a crack in it where the boat had hit it. And it was a bad repair, and I got it repaired. The bolt-on wheels are repros, but the Spiders hubcaps were original, and they were very valuable actually in the car. And they're held on by clips, and when you pry them off, you have to replace the clips because they lose their tension. And you could be driving down the road and hit a bump, and your center hub goes flying off.
Yeah.
So right, so they're actually I wound up getting repro ones and sold those for a fortune. Somebody wanted them, needed them. So the motor on this looked like a 327 350, but it was really a 327 300. And it was a marina blue with a teal blue interior. So that was another problem at judging. They told me that the date code on it was silver pearl. I mean, the paint code was silver pearl. So it had been repainted marina blue, and in that marina blue never came with a teal interior, but it was fine for me. So it became a driver, and I drove it all the time. And then, one day my son said, Dad, can I have that car when you die? So I thought of that parable that, if you teach somebody to fish, they eat forever, and if you give them the fish, they eat for a day. So I said to him, look, you know what? I'm going to sell the car. I'm going to pay for your education, and then one day you'll be able to buy it for yourself, and it'll mean more to you. And I did that. And the person I sold to still has it and won't sell it back, and he still loves it. And so the next year for Father's Day, I got the original factory brochure on a 67 and in a frame that says I owe you. And that was about 15 years ago.
Oh, nice.
And he still owes me. So I decided about 5 years ago not to wait anymore. And I bought Frank Martini's, the one I have now, that you just saw in the picture. But that was my original 67.
Great stories. Love them.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. All right, so let's see. So we're going to go to the next. The
next is the hidden treasure. Yes.
I'm going to do the next door prize.
Okay.
So, all right. So, and I'm going to leave. Well, I'm learning something here that I've got to remember to put everything back off mute. So, but anyway, the next one is for a set of Kirkland 36-pack microfiber towels. If you're a Costco member, you can get them there. I buy these practically in bulk a couple times a year because I use them as a shop rag as well as a detail rag. They're just a nice, they're not a high-end microfiber towel, but they do the job. So the next person I'm going to pick out of the Porsche can, and if you didn't register this week, always look for the invite. We don't do anything else with the email other than register you for the drawing each week. So you got to register each week to be entered. So I'm just going to pick a name out of my classic Porsche oil mug here. And Robert Henuset wins a set of shop towel, the microfiber towel. So Robert, congratulations. Thanks for entering the drawing. And we've got one more drawing. Hang in there. We've got a gift certificate at Car Care Specialties towards the end here. So, all right. So with that, Lou, I'm going to put it back to resume the last video. Hang on just a second while I get the sound going. There, I did that. So seamless. And so you just went through the Corvette thing, and we've got now a special announcement. So Lou, you
Yeah.
want to take everybody through what we're about to see?
Yes, this is actually when you go by, you drive by buildings, you don't know what's inside. And so this is a plain building. It's unmarked, and it belongs to somebody I know, and who has an extensive collection. And he's decided to sell some cars off, and they're going to be for sale on Guys with Rides. What category are we going to put them in?
So
Rudy?
yeah, I'm really
What do we
pleased.
call it?
Yeah, it's going to be the reserve parking section. If you haven't seen it before, we've got
Yep.
a collection of 4 cars out there right now, and Mike G from Staten Island, his 80 Cadillac is out there. So looking forward to adding more cars. It's no charge. You can read the details on there. I'm not going to give a selling pitch. We're in this together, and if you think it's time to sell your classic, we'll put it up here, and we curate the ad for free. It's more of a detailed story I like to put together. We take as many pictures as we can of the car, the more the better, and even some video. And I've got an email going out to about 6,000 people 6 times a week. So we're really starting to get distribution on people seeing these. We'll get it in front of our car enthusiasts. So, Lou.
Right. So this is a teaser video. Just give you an idea of what's going to be coming. And Rudy's going to take pictures of each car in detail. So this is 61 Corvette, and very nicely done. I've looked at car. This is me taking these videos. So just to give you an idea of what's going to be in the future, there's an assortment of cars, all very well done, all very well kept. This is an interesting car, 66 442, originally came with 4-barrel. The dealer installed 3.2s on it.
Right.
So it's got trips on it. Unfortunately, do not have the original manifold and carburetor, but you can live with that without it. You probably can get it if you wanted to. I wouldn't put it back. It's black inside, black outside, and that's a Sirius radio. That's you see underneath the dash over there, and this above the center console. You can see the floor. Everything keeps everything clean. Everything's just meticulous. Inside takes it out. Everything gets clean. These cars don't get used a lot, but when they get used, you make sure that he puts them back the way they came out. Let's see. This is my favorite.
Yeah.
51 Oldsmobile.
And you just let me know when you want me to pause it.
Well, you can pause it. The feature I love is on the steering wheel. It's coming up, and you may want to just show that off. You can notice there's an emblem in the front of the hood as well as on the top of the hood on this car. Has AM radio in it. A lot of trim, a lot of stainless. I mean, everything's just perfect. The interior, leather interior is gorgeous. All right, we're coming up on some features that on the bottom of the steering wheel, you're going to get a close up of that a couple times.
Yeah.
Is actually a clock, and the clock mechanism winds when you turn the steering wheel.
That is just amazing.
And if you don't drive the car enough, your clock doesn't it's not working.
Pretty cool.
We got a better close up. It's going to come in here in a second.
Yeah, better close up. Yeah, I think on the next frame when we start with the compass.
There's the compass there.
Right. We're going to get a close up on the compass right above the radio coming up, and then
there's
you can really. That's too cool. I just love that too.
That's GPS circa 1951.
That's right.
Let's do this.
That's it. So you can turn to whoever you're with, and they're the navigator. And you say, "Oh, which way now?" Right.
Right.
So it's I think we're going to see the close up of the clock. Yeah, there it is. You can freeze it if you want.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it says, I think, Oldsmobile automatic or something on it.
Yeah, Oldsmobile car watch, automatic.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Watch automatic.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
And that was not a standard feature. That was an option on the car.
That was an option. Yeah. And I've never seen one.
That's
I've
pretty.
been, I lost track of how many shows, how many times I went to Hershey, how many cars I've looked at, and I've never seen that before. So that's the 51 Oldsmobile. Now the cars coming up now is also a very rare car. This 59 Oldsmobile 98 convertible with factory air. This look how big this car is.
Yeah, and Mike G just wrote something. I was told Oldsmobile was the test division for Cadillac. Seem to see neat things on the Oldsmobiles that you don't on the other GMs. And so thanks for that detail on there. Keep going.
So
Sorry.
no, that's fine. You can stop anytime because when you come across the back, you're going to freeze it because there's a feature there that I really found, from an engineering point of view, very clever for them to do. So those are Oldsmobile fins. Don't forget, 59 Caddies had fins like that too, except bigger. So that was a little bit more reserved. So across the back of the car, it says Oldsmobile.
And I'm going to stop it right here. Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
So there you go. I think that's it. So you see Oldsmobile reflected in the top of the bumper. Like it looks like it's there twice. And they make that panel a little bit concave where it is. There you go.
Yeah, that's a good shot.
Right. You showed good. So they made it concave so the letters would reflect off the bumper. That was very, very clever engineering. So it says Oldsmobile reversed in its image. Yeah. So anybody want to take a guess how long that car is?
Too long for the guys with Rides Garage. I know that.
Too long, yeah. Too long for the guys with Rides Garage. It's 223 inches long. 223 inches long. Weighs 4,700 pounds approximately. So go ahead with the video. We'll talk about the engine and everything like that.
Yeah.
So by the way, the Cadillac, it's not the longest. The 59 Cadillac was 2 inches longer.
Okay.
So it was 2 inches. Yeah, I compared the length.
It's probably why you don't see a Continental kit on something like that.
Right. You don't want to hide that in the back end of it's beautiful.
All right, so it's coming around. Unfortunately, I had to blur out the Autronic eye on this, so you can't see it on there because
right. Because there's a license plate up there. We don't want to show any plates, but it did have an Autronic eye. I don't know if the Twilight Sentinel is part of that or it's separate. So this is 394 cubic inch engine, and just so anybody knows, and rare factory air conditioning. But look how they did it in 59. Can you see the copper lines? See a little bit better next frame, right?
Yeah. There we go. But those are all copper lines on the receiving and return lines. Amazing. Probably $1,000 worth of copper in the car just for the air conditioning.
Copper must have been cheap back then, right?
Yeah, apparently.
I've never seen another car with copper lines.
Yeah.
And the way they're routed, and the fittings, and the way they're bent. I guess that's why flexible hoses are they went to hoses.
Yeah.
But those won't spring a leak, and those won't.
I'm hoping at some point I can get some of my Buffalo peeps on here because invariably one of them worked at Harrison Radiator where that was built back.
Tell you. So 40 Oldsmobile, not a Ford, 40 Oldsmobile Woody. And this also is when Rudy gets down there and takes all those pictures of it, and we'll show all the details on it.
Yeah.
This is 3-cylinder, 300 tree. But look at the wood on the door panel, inside, outside, and then of course no headliner. Just a lot of beautiful woodwork. So it's got a little bit of maintenance when you have a Woody, but like a wooden boat.
Yep.
You got to keep it up, got to varnish it, got to keep everything on. But everything's good here. The seams are perfect, the wood is perfect, and it's an Oldsmobile.
Beautiful car.
See Fords all over the place, but just everywhere. Ash and mahogany, and everything's just fitted, and the joints. And attention to detail, how they did everything.
And now I wanted to
And
stop it right there so you can
yep.
explain this.
So, from what I understand, in the original top was a fabric top that covered this, and it was like I mean, it was waxed or impregnated or something. That's Adam, right?
Oh, sorry. Can I mute myself?
There you
No,
go.
it's your clock.
It
It's
was
your
your
clock.
clock. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you.
Good. Thanks. So, so instead of putting you can't get that cloth anymore. So this imitates what the cloth looked like, is what I was told. So this vinyl, it looks like what the cloth was that was on this top.
Fascinating. All right.
And you'll have better pictures than I did with the iPad going through the shop.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to just highlight some of the features that were on it. The shine of the wood, the fit of the wood, the joints, everything came together.
Amazing.
Glass is all perfect. Needs a surfboard. Didn't
Definitely.
they surfed in the 40s, didn't they? Or at least maybe a picnic basket or something.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
I don't even know if they had a luggage rack for those things back
Oh,
then.
sure.
So, yeah, it's a 32 Ford. It's an old little street rod. Been around. It's became a regular driver for a while. It needs work. Needs a little paint work. I probably color sanding could bring that paint back, and then you could do a little touch up around the rumble seat. Real rumble seat, not a trunk. That's
Nice.
in there. And it's got the pinstriping. It's got a small block in it. And I think for the when we set the prices, when the prices are set, I think it'll probably be a good buy for somebody who likes that kind of car. And this is my favorite. And I'm probably I'm proud. I keep saying that, right, Rudy? I'm
Yeah.
gonna buy the thing. This is 34 Ford. Got a V6 in it. Probably a Buick, right, Rudy?
Yeah, I'm
I
thinking
don't.
that's a 231.
Yeah, it's probably a Buick in there, and it's got a V6 in it, automatic. Um, and Rudy will take real bad pictures of this, so you won't like it. And the interior looks like it's like suede.
Would that be mohair or simulated?
I don't know. I have to get another. It
Huh.
it's
Like an
yeah,
ultrasound.
it simulates something. You're right.
Yeah.
It simulated something. It's oval gauges. I love those little oval gauges they
Yeah,
put
that's a
on the
nice
bed.
detail.
It just comes together. And it's got a little back seat so you can take somebody with you. And the suicide doors are just like the finishing touch on it.
That's a great little. And look. I mean, look at. I don't know how many. Now I gotta hit pause here. But the wheels on this.
Yeah, the V8 hubcaps on the V8s.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Ford V8 logo kind of thing. Yeah, and a
Those
wire wheels.
wire wheels, and that's a nice little cruiser. That
It is.
uh, you, know, you don't need,
I
like you
mean,
said yesterday, you don't need a lot of horsepower to get back and forth to the ice cream shop, and
not at all, man.
that's a great
Drive
little
along.
car.
Yeah, and when gas prices go up, this is a sweet ride too. This 33 Ford Roadster also needs nothing. It's got a V8 in it and automatic too. But suicide doors, wire wheels.
And
There
I
you
love the
go.
Greyhound hood ornament on the thing. Well, take a look
Yeah,
at this interior, guys.
I know. Whoever this interior guy did a real nice job. So it's corduroy, and leather. Cream color or brown tan corduroy and leather.
And I'm willing to bet those are like Mustang 2 seats that have been redone nicely, or Mustang.
Oh,
I got a
somebody.
feeling.
I'm not good on that, identifying those things, but he certainly could be right. He's got his upholsterer is the father. His father's 86 years old.
And both of these cars, I don't think you mentioned it, but both of them are all steel.
All steel.
Yeah.
All steel.
All right.
And this is my favorite color combination for a Jag. You know, chocolate brown with tan interior and tan top. This is
sweet.
12-cylinder. This 12-cylinder Jag. And
that is and I want to say that is it was like a Series 4. That was the last year for it. And then the XJS came out, I think, in 75.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Beautiful car.
The thing I want to mention, too, is on the, there's a boat. This is the Chris Craft 66, right? Yeah. This is, I got a rebuilt 327 engine in it. And that's going to go with the boat, and the trailer is going to go for sale. So if anybody's in the Finger Lakes, got a little vacation home up there, you know, something like that.
Nancy,
Be nice.
Going Canandaigua or Seneca Lake with this bad boy.
And it's shaking her head and goes, "No, you're furloughed. You're furloughed.
You're on furlough again, Rudy.
You're furloughed again. That's it. No. I should have mentioned on that '98 Oldsmobile that the top has never been down on that car. There's not a crease in the top, and there's not a crease in the back window.
Great, Lou. Thank you for doing that with social distancing and getting that all set up. So, guys,
you're welcome.
Yeah, look forward to seeing those cars very soon in more detail. So,
yep, I think we're going to feature the Corvette first on that one.
Yep.
Whet their appetite with that '61 Vet, and that we're going to get some pictures maybe this week on that car and see if we can get it up there for everybody to see.
Good.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to getting those on for everyone. So, Lou, thank you for putting that all together and putting the video on. So, our final. What's that?
Before you do, I want to sign off with Jimmy Durante used to sign off with this McGillicuddy. I want to say hello to Rick wherever he is.
There you go.
That's it.
All right. So so I appreciate that. If anybody, you can see we've really upped the quality on this week, upped our game, the YouTube stuff aside. But if you're interested in showing off your car or your garage, give me a shout at either email at guyswithrides.com or you can go on the website and find my phone number pretty easily. Get in contact with me. Basically, these guys just went out with their iPad and shot some video in their garage, and I took the video, put it together, and then we have you dial in and narrate. So I think it's a good format we're going to use here while we're still under social distancing, and love to have you on here. So the last thing I want to do is our friends at Car Care Specialties, Frank, carcarespecialties.com, and he's giving us a $50 gift certificate. So Alan won last week, and Alan Zambrano, if I recall, and this week $50 gift certificate. If you're not familiar with it, check it out. I like what Frank carries. I've been using like a couple examples. If you use now, I bought all of this. This is I think at some point I've got to show the thousands of dollars in detail supplies I have, but I love their Lexol product. And then if you've never used it, detail an engine, like here's an example. I'm empty, so I'm going to be ordering, Frank. But the P21S wash, this stuff I use on a lot of different things in various concentrations. Think of it as a softer, simple green. They carry the entire line, which you can't find just about anywhere. And this polishing soap, I'm going to start doing some videos when I start doing the cars. But a lot of good stuff, and I think they carry Sonex as well. So I'm going to draw the last one. Don't forget, look for the, if you look on the website for the invite for next week, you've got to register to get in the little red can by 9:30 Saturday. And by all means, get a hold of me if you want to feature your car. So the winner of the $50 gift certificate is Arnie Cohen. So Arnie, congratulations. And I'll get that out to you, your email, and I'm sure you can put it to good use. So I'm looking for any, thanks for all the great compliments, people. Get the word out about the show. We're going to work. Go ahead, Lou.
I've got a couple texts on my phone, and they were, today's format is great. And I got another one that said very educational.
Very cool.
So
Very
I'm
good.
sure they weren't talking about me. I'm sure Adam's the one.
I'm just
So,
an
Adam,
amateur.
thank
So,
you.
Adam,
Just
Well,
an amateur.
Yeah, no, a very good one at that. So I appreciate it, guys. And again, if you have an interest in videoing in your car, give me a shout and we'll get you on next week. So, or in the next couple of weeks. So, by all means, these are interesting times, and we want you all to stay safe, keep the social distancing up, and we'll go from there. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. Have a great week.
See you guys.
take
Thanks.
care. Be safe.